Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Fast Friends, episode 11 here. Pretty stoked again on our guest we got here. It's somebody I've known for a long time and looked up to for a long time before I got to know him, working in the industry, and got to go out and have some fun dinners with you throughout those years. I'll never forget that. But yeah, guy's a legend in the sport, and he's also been through a lot, and he's just got some cool stories to tell. So welcome to the podcast, Jimmy Button.
Thanks, Hal. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah,
fun to be here.
Jimmy, yeah, it's awesome having you, man. I have a question for you because I don't really know this, and I'm sure a lot of people don't, but where'd you grow up?
Phoenix, Arizona.
Oh, nice.
Desert rat.
And now,
OG Desert Rat.
And now you're back there.
And now we're back there after I lived in Phoenix, so born and raised, and in 91-ish, I think it was like 91, I ended up, I signed with, I was driving for Yamaha. I think I just signed with factory Suzuki, and Suzuki's like, you gotta be in California, like test tracks here, all this stuff. So moved over here then, and literally like never really left, like ran my whole career. And then career was over, and then stayed here for like another 20 years or something like that. And so we just moved back to Arizona 7 years ago. So
nice. You're in Phoenix?
Chandler.
Kind of.
Yeah, just a little bit south of Phoenix.
Good golf courses there for the kid?
Good golf courses there for the kiddo.
They are. Those beautiful golf courses. I played a couple
and they're everywhere.
Yeah.
Like
cool.
I think the road that we live on, there's probably in like a 5 or 6 mile stretch, there's like maybe 9 courses.
Oh, wow. So
yeah.
he's just
it's just courses everywhere. So
That's
it's good.
Cool.
Yeah.
I thought we kind of get started, and I talked to you a little bit about this at Anaheim 1, and it kind of seemed like some cool story time. So
yeah.
I figured I'd see if you want to share some other like fun stories with us about when you were on the same team with Jeremy.
Yeah.
And Chaparral Yamaha. It was a pretty cool era. What, 1998?
98.
It was?
98.
Yeah.
Me and Jeremy were teammates. I had rode for Chaparral the year before, when it was more of like that super big team with like
Phil Lawrence
was there.
Yeah.
Brandis was on the team.
Brandis,
dude, just a bunch of dudes, right? And there was like, I think there was me and Phil were the 250 guys, and I think there was like 4 or 6 like 125 guys. It was just like all over the place, right? Chad Pedersen was like riding arena cross and supercross, so he was kind of jumping back and forth. Brandis was there. Preston was on the team. So
yeah.
So kind of rode through that year, and then towards the end of that year, Larry Brooks, who was team manager, was like, "Hey, like we want to tighten this thing up, and we want to get like you and somebody else be like 2 main 250 guys." And me and MC were boys, and I was actually living at his house at the time, up in Canyon Lake, and he was on the Suzuki and like just fucking over that deal. And I told Larry, "Oh man, you should like go to Yamaha, get him a factory bike, and like put him on a team, like because Dave, the owner of Chaparral, he had boatloads of money." I'm like, dude, just get the budget, go do it. Like he'd be stoked to ride a Yamaha, and somehow, some way, like that all happened. And so 98, we were teammates, and I still think we had it was like the sickest team, and just like the vibe was dope at the truck, and we had a ton of fun. He won the championship. I got on the podium and 250 Supercross a bunch of times, and I think at one point it was me, him, and Wyndham that were like first, second, third in the championship, which was bitchin'. And we went 1, 2, 3 like a few nights of racing.
Awesome.
Me, Jeremy, and Kevin were first, second, third. So we just had like a really, really good season. And 98 was like a big year for both of us. Like we both met our wives that we are with today. That within like a couple weeks of each other. So yeah, I mean it was just one of those years. It was just bitching and. We had a bunch of fun. Like if you came around our truck was like the fun truck, but we also got it done on the track too, which is cool.
Yeah. So you guys were living it up. And was he still in Canyon Lake? You guys were still
Yeah.
there?
Yeah, he was in Canyon Lake, and then in 98 I moved up to Tuscany Hills.
Okay.
And bought a place up in Tuscany Hills, which we were only a couple miles apart and still rode together every day and trained together. And we were pretty much connected at the hip for about a 5-year span, where we were, whether it was playing golf or wakeboarding or snow skiing or surfing or whatever it was, we just, we kind of lived together, then we trained together, and then we were teammates, and it was just a bitchin' cool time.
Nice, man. Yeah.
Good memories, for
yeah,
sure.
If I could have been around during those times, I was just a little grom still in high school, like watching you guys, and
yeah.
It was cool. How old were you during that time?
Shit.
98.
98. What had I been, about 20, 24, 25, something, I don't know, something like that, somewhere in there.
Nice.
Yep.
So so Chaparral Yamaha, you guys had some factory support, obviously.
Jeremy did. Jeremy
did.
had full factory support. So he had a factory bike that was just like Wyndham's and Doug Henry's and John Dowd, like all those guys. So he had like full works bike.
Gotcha.
But Yamaha didn't give me a works bike. So Larry and Kel Carruthers built my stuff. Like I had factory suspension, but like I didn't get like the works engine and transmission. But I mean, it was a 250. Like back then, like anybody could build a 2-stroke really well. Like it didn't take, it's not like today where you need to have factory stuff on the 4-stroke with the technology and all that shit. So it was good. My bike was awesome. Like there was no problem with it. Like I didn't need a factory. I didn't need like the factory OW stuff. It was plenty good enough to do well and win and be on the podium, which I was a bunch. So yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a good one.
I think you guys probably filmed a little Steel Roots during these times, right?
We actually filmed Steel Roots, most of it, like in like kind of 96 and 97. Because I think the premiere of Steel Roots is like right before the 98 season started. I think it was like maybe in November, December is when the premiere was. So we filmed a bunch. Like 97, I was living at the house in Canyon Lake with Jeremy and Lou. And dude, we just, that was a fun year too. I mean, we were, wakeboarding every day after we got done riding, and, going riding Harleys and doing fun shit and filming the movie. And we were, taking trips, going to Mammoth and all those places that we went that are in Steel Roots, and just having a blast. I mean, it was so much fun. We had a good time. The funny thing is like, I think a lot of kids today think that like you can't have fun because it's all about training, which it is. It's all about being focused. It is, but like you gotta throw some mix into it and go play ride and enjoy that. And like we always did the work, but we threw a lot of the fun stuff in there too. Yeah,
you guys had so many cool clips in Steel Roots, and Lou did such a good job with that.
Yeah,
and it was, I was watching, I think Jeremy had shared a clip today of like all the guys out in the Steel Roots section, and I'm like, man, you don't see that anymore. Like you don't see all the boys out in the hills. Like you don't see like Jet and Hunter Lawrence, and you don't see like, Jason Anderson and Barsha and these guys like linking up like and going and building jumps and like making edit.
It doesn't exist.
Doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist. I think a couple reasons, right? So everybody kind of lives at like these training facilities, or the practice track or whatever. And two, like with the 4-strokes, like they don't let the bikes go away from the factory. Yeah. Like before, like dude, like I always had like a 125 and a 250 in my garage. Yep. That weren't my race bikes. They were just bikes that you would just go ride. Yeah. And that doesn't really exist. And these guys kind of only ever ride like their works / practice / test bike type of thing. And so, they don't have bikes. They don't have bikes at home that they can just like throw in the back, and shit. To be honest, most of them don't even have trucks anymore. Yeah, like Jason, like I hang out with Anderson here and there, and like he probably has like I've never seen a bike at his house because he's probably doesn't have a truck. He's probably got like a Range Rover and a car. Yeah, or something like that, right? Because like you never, the only time you go ride anymore is like at the test track, at one of these training facilities, and your mechanic or test guys, whatever, come out, they're doing like, you don't touch it. Like before us, like, dude, we were cleaning air filters, which sucked, and tightening chains and doing all this shit and changing tires. But dude, that just doesn't that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah,
At least maybe for the top guys. I mean, maybe the privateer guys, they're still working on their own stuff, but and then I think too, like there's no like camaraderie type of thing either.
Yeah.
Between the guys, I think and I get the whole point of like you got to hate the guy that you're racing with, type of thing. But dude, me and Rhino have almost like come to blows in the pits like on a Sunday, and Monday we go to dinner together.
Yeah, that sounds like a Rhino
but
thing.
like that, it is a Rhino thing. But like that stuff doesn't really exist anymore, right? If you get that close to somebody on a track, like dude, like you hate them, social media hates them.
Yeah,
you got all your people. They're like, yeah, fuck that guy, all this stuff. You know what I mean? So it's just a completely different. It's two different worlds that we lived in versus now.
Yeah, it is. Man, that was a good time. That era was just irreplaceable,
Yeah, it was mega.
So then you went Chaparral Yamaha, and then you went into factory Yamaha, right?
Yeah. So at the end of '98, Doug Henry had decided that he was going to retire or do like a partial retirement thing, and so Yamaha needed somebody to ride the 4-stroke, and so myself and Mike Brown got like the call from Yamaha, and they basically had a tryout, and whoever rode the bike the best, like got the ride. Oh. Like, and it was, he rode it, Mike rode it on a Monday. I rode it on a Tuesday. They made the decision on Wednesday morning, and I signed a contract on Thursday. Nice. Like it was bananas. There was no negotiation. It was come in, here's the agreement. Here's what you're getting paid. You're a factory guy now. Here's the salary. And you see that, you look at the number, you're like, yeah, where's the pin?
Yeah, well, let's go.
Let's go. And
yeah.
So that was kind of a crazy way to get back to being a factory guy after, I'd been a factory guy at Yamaha and Honda and Suzuki and stuff like that beforehand, but then like going back to it after like kind of going down the privateer thing a little bit with the Chaparral team. So that was cool to get back to it and get back on factory stuff and, and have like all those catering things taken care of, which was nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Show up at the track, right? You don't
show up at the track.
And okay, so the 4-stroke, how was that 4-stroke? I mean, that's all everyone rides nowadays, but you were one of the pioneers, you and Doug there.
It's the bike I rode certainly isn't what these guys get today.
Had a hot start, like you'd pull the hot start thing to get it started.
Yeah, it had a hot start, like it had all sorts of terrible contraptions on it. You had to find top dead center to kickstart it.
Yep.
The compression releases, you had to find it or you had to use a compression release, whereas the next generation after I rode them, like you could just kick them.
Yep.
Right. But ours, you had to find top dead center. So when you stalled it during a race, especially when it was hot, like I did at my very first race at Anaheim in 99, I stalled it on the first lap. And by the time I got it started, I was 2 laps down. That sucks.
Yeah.
But the bike wasn't good. At least initially, it wasn't good, and it weighed a fucking...
Yeah, they were heavy, right?
Yeah.
You could just tell.
Dude, it weighed like the same as like a Volkswagen Bug. I mean, it was so damn heavy. I mean, I have a bike. I have a bike at home. I have one of my works bikes at home, and dude, it's 200 and... probably almost 260 pounds. And it's a works bike. You know what I mean? It's got all the tricky shit on it. Yeah.
You have one?
It's in my office.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's the trickiest thing ever. I mean, it's, titanium, magnesium, hand cast, sand cast, everything, dude. And it still weighs a ton. Like when we have to move it around to clean the office and stuff, it's like you need 2 people to lift the thing off the stand.
Yeah.
But it's cool to have it.
Yeah, that is cool. Like one of the first 4-strokes like that.
But it wasn't great. It didn't carburate really well. The carburation was always kind of shitty. But like the days that the thing ran really well and the track was not so like peaky and like more rhythmy, which is more like the tracks of today, the bike was awesome. And you could compete against the 2-strokes at that point.
Yeah. So this is 99.
Yep.
And you raced all Supercross?
Yep. Raced all Supercross. I ended up, I think I only had like 1 podium all year at like A2 or A3 or something. So that was a bit of a bummer after having a bunch of podiums the year before. But then outdoors went really well.
It was pretty good
It
outdoors?
was pretty good outdoors. Won some races outdoors, lots of podiums outdoors. Like, did well in the championship. I think I ended up maybe 4th or 5th in the championship.
Oh,
And
that's good. Yeah.
yeah, it was good. Had a good season. And the second generation bike, the 426, is what we started testing like in outdoors during the 99 year, kind of building that into what 2000 was going to be. And then we went and did, me and my mechanic went and did a bunch of European races, a bunch of European supercrosses. And we had figured out a lot of things during the summer, like how to slow it down, how to like take power out of it for supercross, putting smaller header pipes on it and all this stuff, which I think the first couple of years, when Doug was on it and then when I was on it, like Doug loved like a lot of power, just like light switch where it was like from 0 to like 70 horsepower. And me, I wanted more control. So it took a little bit to figure those things out. But then once we did, it was pretty good in Supercross.
Nice. And then 99, pretty good outdoor season. Then you head into 2000 Supercross, and that's when things drastically changed for you. And I know it was at San Diego Supercross.
Yeah.
And you had an accident, and you ended up getting paralyzed, neck down.
Yep.
Neck down.
Yep.
Quadriplegic.
Neck down, quadriplegic. So.
And can you just share with us a little bit about like what happened, and then what were your thoughts when it happened, and kind of like how was you ended up healing like the best you can
very well,
for that situation. So
I mean, it was, we'd come into the year like pretty good, like having a lot of good races in Europe. And the last race that we did actually like 3 weeks before Anaheim was actually was in Japan. So me and Jeremy had gone over. We went 1-2 both nights in Osaka, which is great because it was right in front of all the Yamaha president and everything. So that was like a good deal for us. And then had 2 good races at A1 and A2. Had a couple of mistakes that probably cost me maybe a race win in one of them, but definitely a podium in both of them. A couple of mistakes. I ended up like 5th or 6th or something like that, but like right in the mix type of deal. And we went to San Diego and had a great day of press day on Friday. Saturday comes around and first practice session was great. And I think me, Jeremy, and Villeman were like 1, 2, 3 on the timesheet. So day's going great. Second practice comes up, and just rolling through the whoops. First lap of practice, whoops were like right out of the first corner. It was like come through the first corner, a little step up, and then just a set of whoops, and stepped up into the whoops and just was rolling through the whoops because they had made a couple track changes in between practices, and the bike just kind of stopped in the bottom of a whoop and just pitched me over the bars and just hit my head just kind of awkwardly and wrong, and that was it. Like it ripped all the ligaments off the front and the back of my neck and my spine, and pinched my spinal cord. And the second I hit the ground, everything was just dead and cold and super hard to breathe, because you're having to breathe out of your diaphragm. And so that was, super crazy, scary, and like literally like no pain. There was no pain to it at all. Just everything went cold and
you're
numb.
like, I just can't feel anything.
Yeah, I can't feel anything, can't move anything. LB was the first one to get to me, and then my mechanic ran to me because obviously it was the first lap of practice, so they're just all at the starting gate, like where we just rolled out from 30 seconds before. And, they came over to me and talking to me, and I was able, because I didn't get knocked out or anything like that, so I was able to tell them, dude, like nothing's working.
Yeah, it's LB Larry Brooks. I mean, I think you posted a picture even today about it. Yesterday marks 25 years ago that had happened, and I saw Larry Brooks right down there with you.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Like yesterday was 25 years since that accident.
pretty nuts. But it was just one of those deals. They got me in the ambulance and took me over to Sharps, and did the MRIs, and the results were what they were, and nothing was working, and stayed in the surgical ICU at Sharps for a few days. And then we ended up going to a rehab center actually in Arizona to Barrows, I think it's called Barrows Neurological Center or something like that in Arizona. We went there and started rehab, but I mean, there wasn't much rehab initially. Nothing was really working at all, you know?
Yeah. You're like, I'm just,
And then,
Yeah.
you know, and then one day, like the index finger started to work on my left hand.
so wait, you didn't have any like surgeries or anything?
No surgery. They
Oh.
put a halo on me. My regular surgeon down in San Diego said, like, listen, like, there's no reason to go in there, because the neurosurgeon wanted to go inside, put a cage on me, all this stuff. And he's like, well, there's no reason to do it because you don't have any bones that are displaced. So there's no reason to go in there and add more trauma and more inflammation to the area. So just, you know, he suggested, you know, and I'm out of it, right? I'm basically, you know, drugged up, so I'm not making any of these decisions.
Yeah, you're just like, whatever.
And so, you know, they had talked to my mom, my dad, and Christy, my girlfriend, now wife, and my trainer, Corey, and collectively they made a decision for me not to get the operation, which basically is the only reason why I can walk.
Wow.
Because if they would have went in there and did the cage, there would have been more trauma, and there would have been more swelling, more inflammation, and like I'd still be in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how like the whole rehab kind of went for me. Like every time there was like, you would go and you'd meet this like fork in the road, right? And you had to, okay, we going left or we going right? And you don't know, right? There's no book on
that, yeah.
fucking which lane to go down, especially in this deal.
With your spinal cord.
Yeah. And like somehow, some way, like through all the people that we were talking to, and, you know, that ended up including like guys like Danny Way that had broken their necks and stuff like that. Like every fork in the road, like we ended up going down the right side. And like, here we are today.
Hell yeah, dude. I know obviously you never got back to where you were, but the fact that you're able to walk and get around and do all that,
I'm one of those super lucky ones.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Wow. And then fast forward to like, what an epic story. I still remember when, cause I was working with Victor Sheldon, and him and I were at Spy, and, he's like, yeah, Jimmy like rode a road bike yesterday, like down the driveway and up and down the street. I'm like, what? Like, is that okay? Like, how is that?
Yeah.
And the next thing I knew, it was like, hey, like Jimmy's doing a ride from Qualcomm all the way across the United States to Daytona. And that's like, what a legendary thing to do, right?
Yeah.
The
way that whole thing came about was like pretty funny. So I got hurt in 2000. And then fast forwarding all the way to it, I did the ride in 2011, but it was at the end of 2009, and it was Thanksgiving night, right? And you're all turkeyed up, you know, you had your pumpkin pie and all this shit, and you're sitting on the couch, and I was watching something on TV about a guy that, you know, not like he was paralyzed, but he had like wanted to just do something like mega. It was like on 60 Minutes or something like that. And I forget the whole thing, but I'm like, man, like I should do something. Like I've been so lucky that like I got use of my legs back, and I can use my arms, and all this stuff's going on. Like I should do something big to like, I'm thankful for all this stuff. Like, what can I do?
But you are, just so people know, it's not like you healed and you're back 100%. You're still slow and a little bit weak. And
I got a little limp and walk and all that stuff. But
so it's like, but it's at least
it's working. But I'm like, man, like I should do, like I was like super blessed at the time. Like I had started a management business, managing riders, and that was going great. You know, had been very successful doing that, and I'm just like, man, I got to figure out something to do. So I get on the phone and I call my old trainer, Corey, he's living in Charlotte now. And I'm all, hey, like, so I got a question for you. Like, do you think I could ride a bicycle across the U.S.? And he's like, dude, you're out of your goddamn mind. Like, of course you can. I'm all, no, not like tomorrow. Like,
yeah. Like
if I put a bunch of training into this, I'm all, do you think I could do it? He's all, yeah, of course. He's all, it's going to take you a year. Because he's like, you've not been on a bicycle since the day that you got hurt. I'm like, okay. I go, how about this? I go, if I do this, will you do it with me? He's like, sure.
Yeah.
like no problem, thinking that I'm totally full of shit and I'm not going to do this. So the next day, and I go into the garage and I get my old spin bike out. Bring the spin bike in the house and get it all cleaned up because it's got cobwebs and shit all over it, and get some pedals and tune it up. I grab my old cycling shoes that I hadn't worn in almost a decade at that point, and I start riding, and I make it like, I don't know, like 5 minutes or something like that, and my legs are like spasming like you've never seen. I'm like, all right, like fucking, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this ride across the U.S. I'm going to ride from where I got hurt, which is at Qualcomm Stadium. I'm going to ride all the way to Daytona Beach. I'm going to raise money for the Reeves Irvine Research Center, which Christopher Reeves, who also got paralyzed. Like, I'm going to do the ride for him. And so that was it. Like, then I went and created this spreadsheet, this old Excel, spreadsheet. And like, day one, I rode for this many minutes. This is how far I rode. Day 2. Day 3, and like every day it was just, okay, I'm going to go for a couple more minutes and whatever. And I got up to the point where every night I was on the bike I'd come home from work and I'd get on the bike for 2 hours. I'd cycle on a spin bike for 2 hours. And we'd already start working on a website, like building kit, like all this stuff.
Going.
Like we're going, and I still haven't been on a bicycle outside yet. Right? And so I called Victor, because Victor's my buddy, and he's like a cycling guy. And I'm like, dude, like, I gotta like go outside to see if this works. Like, and this is a year in. So I've been training on a spin bike for a year, and now like my fitness is good, everything, but I've still not been outside. So then Victor comes over, and literally we rode up and down the block, and it's like, okay, like, because I didn't know if I was going to have my balance or any of that shit. So I get on the bike, and balance came back pretty quick. It was a little sketchy, like stepping in and out of the pedals, but it was weird because then my nervous system has got all these other inputs, whereas before, when you're on a stationary bike, all you got to do is pedal, right? You don't have balance. You don't have to worry about cars. You don't have to worry about all this stuff.
The turning and the bumps.
And so then my nervous system, which is compromised from me getting a spinal cord injury, is got to get used to all these different inputs. And so like I rode up and down my block, I don't know what I ride, quarter of a mile, and I was like exhausted. I'm like, oh fuck. Like this is not good. Like I have like 7 months now until this ride's supposed to start, and I just got tired in a quarter of a mile. So then it was the same deal. Like, okay, Victor, hey, tomorrow, like, you want to go? And we actually came down here to Oceanside, and we rode that bike path, and we rode like 8 or 9 miles on a bike path, and dude, I was smoked. So then like we just started doing that, and then I would ride, from Oceanside all the way out to like San Marcos and back, and then I just started building it. Just again, same thing I did on a stationary bike, just started doing more and more, and then got to where I could do 3, 4, 5 hours like outside on the bike, and then it was time to do the ride.
Awesome.
And so it was
Victor started it with you, right?
Yeah. We had a bunch of guys, so it was pretty cool. So when we started the ride down at Qualcomm, and we did it on Sunday morning after San Diego Supercross, we had a bunch of people show up. Like MC was there, Victor was there, like a bunch of dudes like came out and rode like the first 30 miles of the ride before we kind of got up in the hills, and then everyone kind of turned around and went home type of deal. And that was the start of the ride across the U.S.
That's awesome.
Yeah, 2,400 miles.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you did have a little injury halfway in Texas somewhere.
Yep. I had a little crash in Houston. Again, like something stupid. I just tipped over. Couldn't get my foot out of the cleat. Fell over, broke my elbow. And there was a hospital like a mile down the road. So we jump in the car, like go to the hospital, and they x-rayed up. Like, yeah, you're done. Like you can't, like we got to do operation, all this stuff. So I call my surgeon back here in Cali again, the one that told us not to get operated on with the neck, and Dr. Murphy. And so I said, dude, like I need this fixed, but like I need it fixed. I need to be able to get right back on a bike like tomorrow. he's all, fly out. He's all, we'll do an operation. He's all, you're going to lose some mobility, but I'm all, dude, I don't care about mobility. I just need this thing to work so I can finish this bike ride.
Yeah. Yeah.
So me and Christy, my wife, we flew home, and we went to our house, slept at our house, woke up the next morning, went down, had it operated on, stayed another night at the house, and then flew right back to Houston. They picked me up at the airport. We rode to where I crashed. I got on the bike that afternoon and started riding.
Awesome.
So had like a 4-day holiday.
Yeah. Murphy, what's his first name?
Paul
Murphy.
Yeah.
He's still going, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to say I don't know why I always forget his name. Did Jeremy's knee replacement?
Oh, dude, he's done so many.
Yeah,
of us.
he fixed my. He fixed my navicular. I had to have a second surgery because.
Yeah, you go to his office. You go to his office, and there's like, like
I see
James's jersey, Ricky's. I like everyone's
Chargers. Yeah.
Everyone's had something done with him.
He was so good to work with. He explained everything so good, and the healing was so good. But
he's awesome.
Yeah, it was Murphy. I don't know why I can forget his name. It was only like 5 or 6 years ago I got it done. But
good guy.
So, dude, then you finish the ride. You get to Daytona. That must have been a good feeling.
It was cool. It was like the first couple of days of the ride were really hard because you're thinking, oh shit, I got like 2,400 miles to go. I got 2,300 miles to go. And then Corey, my trainer's all, dude, he's like, you just got to start thinking about this like 1 mile at a time. Like I just got to get to each mile marker, which made the ride like way easier, because we would ride like 40 or 50 miles in the morning, and then we'd stop, have like a quick bite to eat, and we'd ride like another 40 or 50 or sometimes more. Just depends on what the day was or how many hills we had or whatever it was. And that made breaking it up pretty easy. But by the time we got there, like it was so much fun. Like the whole ride was so cool. Like getting to see the U.S. at like 20 miles an hour is pretty bitching. Yeah, you get to see a lot of places, and when you're speeding on the freeway on the I-10 or whatever, and you're going 80 miles an hour, you don't take in very much. But when you're taking highways and little roads and stuff like that, and you're kind of weaving through these little towns across the U.S., it's pretty neat, and you get to see the country in a completely different perspective.
Yeah, it's like when you take a walk somewhere.
Yeah,
you're like, wow, there's like you notice all the little trees and the plants, and like when you're driving, you're like, phew.
Yep.
Well, that's pretty cool. So that's a really cool story. I'm sure you were stoked to do that. It's something I always think about. I'm like, wow, I can't believe you did that, but it's awesome. And even if you didn't have an injury, it's freaking crazy. So
yeah, it's still cool.
Yeah, nice work. And so then to change the subject, but then you transition. So now you're managing athletes. Yep. You're working with a lot of athletes, up and coming riders. I mean, that's probably pretty. You were probably in a pretty good spot there, and you're still doing that.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, it's fun, because you get to, obviously, like, I'm 51 years old. I started racing when I was 5. I was factory Honda when I was 8. So like I've had a lot of perspective and a lot like, I have a lot of history in the sport, like a lot of experience. I've seen the side of being a privateer, being a factory guy, and I've seen everything on this side of the fence as well. And so I think, it's fun for me because we all make mistakes, like in our own careers growing up. It's like, oh, if I would have done that, that would have helped me here. And like, kind of weave through, and you see it with what you've done in the sport. Like you can kind of see people that get stuck, kind of winding through the trees of the forest in this whole world of motocross, right?
Yeah.
And so you have a different perspective and you have a different understanding of like how to do it, and like also what not to do type of thing. So it's fun to be able to lend that experience to these younger guys, to help them avoid some of the pitfalls that are just inevitably going to happen.
Yeah.
And if you can help them kind of mitigate those and navigate the path a lot easier, and see them get to their success point maybe quicker, easier, or
just the right way.
Yeah. Like that's pretty rewarding, and then when you have a guy that you've helped grow and then, they're able to reach that pinnacle of, getting on the podium for the first time and then winning a race for the first time and then winning a championship. Like that's a pretty fun path to be on because you're part of it.
Oh,
right.
Yeah, and you're close to it.
Yeah. And so, you've helped and you've been a lending hand. So that part's pretty rewarding to help these younger guys do that. And And then sometimes you work with some kiddos that like have all the talent in the world, and if they would have just listened a little bit more, like you see what that potential like could have been. So there's some of those that you end up, after doing this for 20 plus years, you're like, man, I wish so-and-so would have done that a little bit more, or whatever it is, because they could have been so much more, even though they were great. You can see some lost opportunities along the way, unfortunately.
Yeah. One of those lost opportunities, still has had a great career and done a lot of cool things. But as a friend of mine and someone you were working with at the time, Josh Hill, and his accident that he had, learning the backflip, trying to compete in speed and style. I mean, if he would have had the backflip on lock, he would have went and got a gold at X Games. But I think I
think he still would have won gold without it.
Without it, yeah. But anyways, he did it.
Yeah.
And
it's too bad because that
was
year,
a bummer.
Yeah, because that year, I'd put him on Larry's team, the San Manuel team, alongside of James.
Was ripping that year.
And James got hurt. I think James got hurt at like A1. Mm-hmm. And so like the focus like went on Josh, and then Josh just went ripping like second. Like he got like I think he had like 7 seconds in a row to Dungeon RV. Yeah. And they have 9 championships amongst the two of them.
Yeah.
And I really think that, I think we were in Atlanta. Josh was leading the championship, or maybe him and Villo were tied with and I don't think they did a red plate back then, but I think they were tied. Yeah. And he had like a little thing that happened in practice, and I think he tweaked his back or something. And then that was like the first race of the season that he hadn't been on the podium, and lost a few points, and still rode great. I mean, dude, he had such a good season. And then after the season was over, he was getting ready for the whole speed and style thing at X Games. And he was out at Nate Adams' house when it happened. And I remember the phone call I got from Nate, like, dude, like, you need to come up here. Like, it's not good. I'm like, fuck.
Really bad broken femur and
really stuff. Bad broken femur. I mean, and, had that thing been taken care of correctly, and he didn't get the compartment syndrome, like, he would have been fine. Like, it wouldn't have done to his career what it did do. Yeah. But he got the compartment syndrome in his lower leg, and it screwed him. And I think he still suffers from like some of those. For sure. Some of that stuff
leg
today
is very. And you mentioned that, like, my roommate at the time when that had happened, Joey. I think you might know Joey. Latico, yeah. We went and visited Hill in the hospital, and like he's in there like, man, he's like, my freaking leg is like killing me. I'm like, well, bro, you got a freaking broken femur, dude. Of course it's hurting, and he's like, no, he's like, my other leg, he's like, and it's like, we're like, hey, like, what's up with this? And we had left, and then it was like that whole compartment syndrome thing had happened, and I think it kind of took him some time to realize what was going on or something. And then that,
I think it almost took so long I think they had like considered maybe amputating it type of deal. I think
and the thing was all sliced open.
And it was sliced open for a long time because it had gotten so big. And that's just an unfortunate like chain of events that just happened. Yeah. And that kid, he's 36 years old, 37 years old, or whatever the hell he is. I mean, dude, he still rips.
Yeah.
He's like one of the most. He's like one of the most talented. I mean, I think if you took, him and Hanny and Wyndham, I mean those three. I mean, I don't think you get a lot of pushback from anybody in the industry. I mean, I think those are probably three like just most naturally gifted human beings on dirt bikes. Yeah. They can just kind of do anything. Yeah. I mean, fuck, look at Hanny. Hanny still does. I mean,
Josh's still doing it. Yeah.
And Wyndham, I mean, follow him on Instagram, dude. He'll just like rip it up with like sneakers and a tank top on, dude, and go rip a set of whoops on a 450 or on an 80 or whatever. I mean, those guys are just so talented. So it sucks on the Josh thing because I think he could have been a 450 Supercross champion. I don't think he really loved the outdoors that much, but I think for sure, like he could have totally been a 450 Supercross champion guy for sure. I mean, he just
tightened up all those. Yeah.
But he had everything that you needed. Just that damn X Games deal that he wanted that gold medal. But hopefully, I think hopefully he's been able to like get past that. You know what I mean? As like a human.
Yeah.
You know,
He seems like he's doing pretty good. I've
Seems like-
seen him a couple times recently, and he seems pretty happy. He's like got his chick. He's like, and
Yeah.
he's riding a lot. Like
A
it seems
ton.
like he's having fun with riding. He was just talking about how busy he is.
well, yeah, dude. I mean, I see him. He's riding a Stark. Then he's riding a 450. Then he's on 250.
And he's on a Suron.
He's on a Suron, like jumping
Yeah.
shit on that bike. Like I said, like he's just one of those naturally gifted kids.
Yeah.
That just had it.
For
you know,
sure.
just
Yeah.
totally had it.
And it's really been fun watching his brother too throughout the years. And this year he's ripping, dude.
Ripping.
Justin's ripping.
What about
You
A1?
can see the confidence.
Like A1
yeah.
is like, dude, like where did he just come from?
Yeah.
But
That's
he's
really cool.
always been fast. You know,
He's
after
always,
after Justin won that 250 championship and he rode for JGR. Remember, dude, he showed up at Tampa on a 450, like P1, like every practice, jumping shit that no one else was even jumping. It's like, dude,
Yeah.
what in the hell is going on?
Yeah, who's this dude?
You know, I think he probably had a good chance that main event. I'd have to rewatch it, but I think he had a pretty chance maybe to win that thing. And then he had some injuries that were weird or whatever, but like he's another one of those gifted guys too because of like where they rode at their house. You know, up in Oregon, they had that killer setup up there, and they
Yeah.
could just ride for hours and hours every day. And
It's still really cool. They do that big hill jam thing up there, and they do. And his mom and dad are really cool. All that stuff. Love those.
Yeah.
That family is pretty awesome. I wanted to ask you to change the subject, but I wanted to ask you about your son and his thing that he's doing right now with golfing. He's doing really well, right?
yeah. He,
First off, how old's your son?
he's 13 and a half.
Okay.
He'll be 14 this June.
And what's his name?
Phoenix.
Phoenix.
Yeah.
Awesome. Where are you from?
Yeah, there you go. But he was
cool-
born
cool
here in
name.
Encinitas. But he's good. I mean, I'm super happy that he loves Supercross, loves it, loves going, always has. But you know, he was going to the races like right after he was born. You know, Christy would bring him in a stroller, so he's been around it the whole time. But it never did what it did to me or did to you, where it's just a drug. Like he never got that experience of it being like a drug.
Yeah.
You know, and we put him in. We probably did it too early, but you know, my wife Christy was, you know, she played soccer all through school and high school and college and all this stuff, and she's like, oh, we gotta get him into soccer, and so he was like super small, like 3-year-old little kid. We put him into soccer league, you know, right here in Del Mar, and it was with like 5-year-olds, and dude, he can't run as fast as these kids, and like.
Yeah.
You know, and he was running around. Sometimes he was running the wrong way, and also because only 3. And he played a few games, and we were driving home one time, and he's just like, I don't ever want to play soccer ever again. Like, I hate that. It's horrible. And I'm like, dude, I don't care. Like, let's go to Dairy Queen.
Yeah.
You know? And we went home that day, and for whatever reason, he grabbed one of my golf clubs out of my old bag because I can't swing anymore. And he grabbed one of my TaylorMades and a little plastic ball and started hitting it across the driveway. Like
When he was 3?
when he was 3, like not great or whatever, but I'm like,
Well, he's playing with it.
but
yeah.
like he had like this natural kind of easy swing. And I'm like, do you like that? Is it fun? He's like, yeah, it's fun. So we went and bought him like the little $49 like little mini golf set, and
Yeah.
Christy started taking him out to San Marcos to the golf course right there, and there was a coach there, really really cool guy, and his son's actually on the Corn Ferry tour, and he's like, can I like help you guys out? We're like, oh, we don't need lessons. And he's like, no, like I'm not going to charge you. I just want to like, this is what my son does, and like it's fun to see like a little kid doing it. So he started working with Phoenix. And so he would go like once a week for like 15 or 20 minutes and just go down. And it was like a mile away from our house. And he would just go play. And it just slowly evolved into this like massive, this massive obsession drug for him. And
So that was the hook.
That
He
was
loved golf.
Yeah. So
And so fast forward, now he's 13. And I think you told me, but he's one of the top golfers in his age group. Right?
yeah,
In the world.
he's one of the top guys. And he works really, really hard. He he puts in the work. I mean, he goes to the gym. He has a swing coach. He's got a mental coach.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, he's not messing around with it. Like he's got a list of goals that he wants to do. I mean, they're pretty lofty. I hope I'll be the first one there to like cry and celebrate with him if he reaches them. But
Oh yeah.
he wants to set records and win big golf tournaments and become a pro and all that.
Hey, he's got the look. I saw him at Anaheim 1 cruising around on that scooter.
Yeah.
And like the way his hat with his like glasses, like I think he had some glasses
Yep.
on him. And like I'm just like from a distance, he looked like a golfer,
He definitely has that, and he's got he's got some good people to support him. Like he's got a nice deal with Callaway Golf, which is cool, and
Awesome.
the guys at Oakley take care of him because he wears glasses. He wears prescription glasses, so they dial him in with like the good optics and everything. And yeah, it's fun. We're last year we went to Europe a little bit and played the European Championships in Scotland, which was super cool. And a few weeks from now, we're going to Rome for another event for them. So yeah, we do golf.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
cool.
a good sport to be into for a parent.
Well, the nice part is I know I'm not going to be in the back of an ambulance with a compound femur.
Yeah. And if he starts,
I get nervous at golf tournaments. for like, there's nothing bad that's going to happen except for a bad shot. But like, I can't imagine being a moto parent. Just
you hear that, Mom?
Yeah, my mom's here. But yeah, I mean, I can't imagine, like, especially what I put my parents through.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I can't imagine like what that must feel like because I get nervous for him playing golf. Which, like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah,
like, nothing really bad. Yeah, you could hurt your wrist.
It's
and
because
stuff here.
How attached you are with the kid too.
Yeah.
And how much you want to see him do good.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool, man. Yeah, my little 5-year-old went and played golf today. It's funny.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That. Yeah, he just got a set of clubs, little set of clubs.
It's so cool to watch them like develop like anything, right? But we were in Florida at a big tournament. This is like a year and a half ago, and I would say it was right about the time where he kind of made that like step into like being kind of elite a little bit, and he was playing a course, PGA National, where they have a PGA tournament. They used to have the Honda tournament there, Honda Classic, I think it's called. And he goes out and shoots. He's 4 under through 17. We come to 18. He ends up getting a bogey. Shoots 3 under. Shoots a 69 on this like incredibly difficult course, and like it was so awesome to see your kid like do something that he was aspiring to do at like a really high level on a very difficult obstacle, basically.
Yeah.
And so like it was like an awesome dad moment that's like, okay, like we made a good decision here. Like we're going down the right path. That it was pretty fulfilling, like it just as a dad.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Stoked for you guys and I'm like tuned in. We'll be watching that journey the whole way.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Yeah. Hopefully, there's a lot of obstacles in the way from now until whatever the end is, but hopefully he can keep his head straight and
you have a lot of experience working and guiding through a professional career and also helping all these other guys all these years and seeing things. I mean, you're a great guy to have in his corner.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty hard on him sometimes, probably a little too hard, but it's just because I want to see him put the effort in that's necessary to reach those goals, because I think sometimes probably a 13-year-old doesn't exactly know, how much work's involved to get to that super pinnacle of sport. But
yeah,
it'll be fun.
Dude, what's up with that sweatshirt? Tell us a little bit about that. And like, I know with, speaking of your mom, I know you guys run the whole Road to Recovery program, and I know you guys did a collab.
Yeah, so this is awesome. This one is it's the MC. It's the Jeremy San Diego shirt hoodie that we did. So Malcolm, Kyle, like you, like me and Malcolm have been buddies for I don't even know, right? I don't even know how long it's been. Back in the 90s, like we've been boys for a long time. And he's got his new brand Mended, which is awesome. And we kind of caught up just before Christmas, and just talking about lives and kids and family and business and all this stuff. And he really wanted to do something because he kind of jumped in when Matt Byton got hurt.
Yep.
With the road recovery stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
And did some stuff for Matt. And I think Malcolm found like a lot of fulfillment, like personal fulfillment about helping Matt out and raising money for him and the journey that Matt's now on with having a spinal cord injury. And so we started talking about, hey, like, how can we work together? Like, how can I help you? How can you help me? That type of thing. And so we came up with this idea to make, this is the 25th anniversary of the foundation, because I started it right after. I actually started it when I was in the hospital still, to help other athletes, other motocross guys when they get seriously injured.
So you started Road to Recovery.
I started Road to Recovery like from the hospital, like
awesome.
Before I even got out.
Nice work.
And since it's 25th anniversary of that, and all the stuff we were doing, was like, dude, like, let's work together and like let's like do something really, really cool. So we came up with like this all black hoodie, all black t-shirt, and on the back it says Moto raised me, because Moto raised kind of all of us, really.
Yeah.
And this is like the throwback of the Sinisalo 93 gear that MC wore. And
yeah.
So what we've been doing is, at each race we kind of have our normal stuff that we're selling. And it's not really selling. Like, if you come make a donation to the foundation, like, you basically you do a donation at X dollars, you can get this much more, you can get that type of thing. So we're not like selling it to the public. It's like, you make a donation, like, what do you want type of thing.
Yeah.
And so we're doing these like limited drops basically. This was San Diego this weekend at A2. We're going to do one that's going to be pretty bitchin'. It's going to have like LA on it with a big heart for all the fires that have been going on, right?
Yeah.
And that one's going to be gray. We're still working on what we're going to do for Phoenix and Tampa, but we're kind of doing, like these little drops. We're only making a certain amount, and like once we sell those out, like, they're all gone.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. Like last weekend, pretty good story. Julian Beaumer won the 250 main,
that was
right?
Awesome.
And
I called that, by the way.
I like that. He's my guy. But Davey Millsap's son, like, came over to the road recovery truck and like got one. He was like super hyped on the shirt, on the hoodie. And I was telling him what we were going to do at each race. Oh man, I want to get one of those from each race. And then when we were down on the podium together for Julian, and he's like, man, I got to get one of these every race. That way we can keep winning all the races.
Yeah, going, because you got to do everything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I do everything the same. So, pretty cool. I mean, we're having fun with it. I think the Moto Raise Me vibe is like pretty cool with people, because I think everybody who goes to the races is, it's kind of a lifestyle. And, we're doing everything with Malcolm and Mendon and LSF, and it's been fun so far, and everyone's liked it. So we're gonna continue down the path for sure.
Yeah, dude, I love it. That's cool. I when Malcolm did the Moto Raise Me to benefit Matt Byton.
Yep.
It was funny. Like a couple weeks prior, Malcolm had sent me a couple mended shirts, but then when he did that shirt, I just felt the Moto Raise Me thing and the help Byton. Like, Byton's just always been such a cool dude. I bought one of those shirts on the website, but and then to see that you guys are doing this now, I might have to make a purchase at A2.
There you go.
Don't make a donation.
Make a donation.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, the Matt thing's a bummer, right? Like, he's been one of our buddies forever. And again, another freak, weird crash, in a first corner of a Loretta Lynn's qualifier. He ends up breaking his back and getting paralyzed, which, it's crazy, because like, look at everything that he did during his career, right? Like the high jump stuff, like him and MC, like that jump off thing, right? Like, dude, they battled like literally touching the top of the Staples Center.
Yeah.
And then you end up with a weird crash in the first corner and you end up paralyzed. And that's just the way, that's moto. And you never know what's going to happen, right? So I think the Moto Raise Me is like, it's a real deal. It resonates with our whole industry.
Yeah, it definitely resonates, man.
Yeah.
Cool, dude. Well, I think that it's been awesome sitting here chatting with you, Jimmy. And I've always really enjoyed talking to you over the years, man.
Yeah.
Like, seeing you at the races, and I know you and I have been to a couple dinners throughout the years on, when we were traveling the Supercross series and whatnot. Always cherish those moments. So it's awesome to have you in here. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This has been it's been fun.
Cool, man. Well, we'll see you at A2.
We will.
And we'll keep paying attention to Phoenix and his path to the top.
Yep. Hopefully he gets there and see you all at the races.
Hell yeah. Later, guys.